For Global Book Network, I'm Zach Feldman. Thanks so much for tuning in here on globalbooknetwork.tv and our YouTube channel at Global Book Network. Joining us over the phone is an author. He has a new book out called Chairman Biden and Dr. Fauci's Monster. It is Ronald Weitzman. Ronald, thanks so much for joining me here on Global Book Network. How's everything going?
Everything's going very well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Obviously, I'm going to guess this is about the coronavirus and about COVID-19. But tell me all about what this book's about.
The book is about the political divide in our country that's growing morbidly worse.
That is very true. Well, tell me all about the political divide. What are we seeing here in your opinion?
I think we're living in a drama, frankly, and it's getting increasingly intense. And the hatred of Donald Trump is getting so strong that we're worried now. A lot of people are worried it's going to get so extreme it's going to lead into some sort of national emergency tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, well, tell me about some of the divide that you see in the country.
The division in the country. Well, the division is mainly among the states. I live in California, and although I'm an independent, most of the state is, are Democrats, and it's true of Illinois and New York, and some other states that have big cities. Atlanta and Georgia, that puts Georgia close to being a red blue state, and so it's divided. It's a weird sort of thing. I think neither party really understands why they're so different. They call each other names, but we can't believe either side because there's mainly an emotional reaction, not any intellectual or a thoughtful reaction.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a hard political climate, excuse me, out there because people are so divided in this country from what they see online, from what they also hear others talking about, from just radical opinions too, but also from policies that are been happening in society. Are there any policies that you've been just seeing and are just fed up with?
Well, I think that abortion is a major issue. In the most recent off-year election, people have ignored that in the discussions about the election results. The fact that over 80% of women childbearing women voted in favor of the Democrats, and the Republicans don't be taking that message seriously. I have a whole chapter in my book on abortion showing that really it's not a matter for government to regulate; it's a matter of religion. All three of the major monotheistic religions have different views on abortion. Catholics think that life begins at conception. Most Protestants think someplace between conception and birth. And Jews, a lot of people don't know, believe life doesn't begin until the child takes its first breath. So when you regulate abortion, if you're a state regulating abortion, you're regulating a religion, which is against the Constitution.
But at the same time, too, I mean, don't we want to keep religion out of the states? Don't we want to keep, those two things separate?
Yes. Well, the First Amendment says that Congress cannot regulate religion. And the Supremacy Clause says that if Congress can't do it, neither can any state legislature.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, also at the same time, too, I mean, when it comes to the talk about abortion, I mean, the one thing that bothers me is that, women are completely taken out of that discussion in the first place, even though it really has to do with them. What do you say to a Congress that, really focuses on themselves and not really focusing on the people who it's affecting?
Especially, since the Jewish religion is very explicit that the fetus belongs to the woman, not to the government.
Yeah.
It belongs to the woman and possibly to the man who conceived the child.
Yeah, 100%. It's absolutely insane. It really is. So when we're talking about your book, obviously, what was the reasoning for the title, Chairman Biden and Dr. Fauci Monster? What is for you? What was that opinion for? Why do we call it that?
Well, I'm a psychologist and a statistician, so we're a combination, but I am. And mainly, let's say I'm a scientist. So I approach this thing scientifically, which is not very common in our culture. And we can talk about that later. Um, what was your question again?
It's okay. Sorry, I was just asking what was what was the reasoning for the title of Chairman Biden and Dr. Fauci monster?
Okay, well, I, I saw that Joe Biden was seen out from the very beginning. I mean, I saw that independently of what was on television, Fox Network. I saw that all by myself. I'm sure other psychologists and psychiatrists and psychiatric social workers, many other ones had the same, view. And so he wasn't. I knew he wasn't making any of the decisions that were being made. I didn't even know about the auto pen at the time, and in fact, he wasn't signing them personally. And their initial, the people who made the request, just or the request came with the initials of JB, which is also are the initials of Biden's wife, who probably was the one who forwarded the order to use the auto pen. So that's going to come out probably very soon in investigations. And but anyway, he could not have done it. It was my opinion. And so we elected a person who, whether he wanted to do something or did not to do something, if they were not senile, we don't know. And so somebody else was making the decisions. And that was, but that alone did not bother me. But what made me think is that he wasn't acting as president. But what really bothered me is that he wanted to be president, not to do the work of the president. He couldn't do it, and his wife probably wanted him to be president too. And so he made a deal with Bernie Sanders that he'll adopt his Green New Deal if he'll help him become president. And that's what happened. They made the deal. And, Biden was always saying, "Here's the deal." Well, that was the deal.
Well, Ron, I got to ask you too. Obviously, well, I mean, I guess it's important to ask you too. What side of the table are you on?
What side?
Yeah, are you a Democrat, Republican? What's your political stance?
I'm an independent.
Independent, nice, awesome. So as an independent too, obviously you're seeing both sides of the table too.
Yeah.
What's kind of been your overall stance? Leading into now, we're going to be leading into 2026 soon. What's your political stance there?
Okay, well, let's take one specific issue to show how I feel about it. You know, that's going too far to the left or the right politically lead to dictatorship. Well, all we're here, the Democrats, is going too far to the right. With us are on the left. But all the experience in 100 years, or most of the experience, shows that going too far to the left leads to dictatorship. Lenin was on the left, and he was a dictator. Stalin was on the left, and Hitler was on the left. National Socialist Party, he was on the left, and he was a dictator. Mao was on the left. China is communist. Castro's on the left. So how come nobody questions that going to the right to the left doesn't lead to dictatorship? But going to the right is not off the free of any criticism either. You could go too far to the right, and that would lead to what's called a theocracy, like in Iran. That's another dictatorship. That's not so common now, but so either party, by going to the extreme, can lead to dictatorship. So that's on both sides.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, being too far on one side or the other, in my opinion, is just wrong because, there's so many different opinions out there and there's so many different topics that really can't fathom one side or the other. And that's the problem with society right now is that the fact that we can't have a conversation, in society too. It's tough. What do you say to those who are struggling to make any meetings with anybody on one side or the other table?
the people who are struggling to make them come together are very rare.
Yeah, especially nowadays. I mean, what do you say to those who are, struggling um to just have a conversation about politics in a peaceful manner?
Well, you know, they talk about Thanksgiving, how to have a peaceful Thanksgiving. Almost any family has a division along political lines somewhere. Mine, we were everywhere in the world, my family.
100%. Well, I mean, you listen. You're 90. You're almost. You might. You're almost. You're at 93 years old now. I should say. You
95.
know, 95 years old now. Sorry, excuse me. I was going to say you were definitely. I didn't want to say you were older than 93, but you're 95 years old now. You've seen the world. When political climates were less aggressive like they are today. Um, what kind of advice do you have for young people who are trying to make a stance in this world
Oh,
and and make a peaceful stance
I,
together?
I don't know if there are less so. I mean, maybe that's a wishful memory of the past or something like that. When I was at a scout camp, I had a big fight with another. I was a Democrat at the time, and I had a big fight with another boy whose family were Republicans, so he was one too. We did what our families uh, did, and politically, and we had a terrible fight.
Mhm.
We ended up in poison oak. Both got a lot of poison oak. So
Wow.
that's a physical fight. We had it then.
Mm.
I mean, we were children. We didn't know much. We just did what our parents, we thought what our parents did, and we followed what they did at the time.
Yeah.
So that's what people are doing now. They're sticking to their political party without thought. It's like a football team. You have your team, and it's your team, right or wrong.
Yeah, and it's not healthy for our country. It's not healthy for our democracy too. I think in the end we all need to work together because we're all working together for the same goal.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's right. And party interests get stronger than national interests. That's a simple way to put it. You have to keep them in the right order. National interest has to come before the party's interest, but you can't tell it to somebody who's a politician on one side or the other because that's his livelihood.
Yeah, 100%. In the back of the book too, you talk about, or you have a review actually by Laura Lee Trump. Tell me about your relationship with her and how did you get her to the book?
I sent her a book. I sent a number of people books that I thought when it was first published, and she wrote that review. I didn't even ask her to do
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool.
it.
And it's got to feel really great, too, to have some political backing too from different constituents, especially from both sides of the party, with this book.
Oh, I don't know. Too many other major people who are in, national view, and to the extent of Laura Trump, no one else at that point commented to me about it. I sent it to several other people, and I got no comments back at all.
Mm, understand. Well, listen, one day they'll pick it up too and check it out too. But before we wrap this up too, for those who are going to pick up the book today, tell me about kind of what you want them to gain from it. What's the main message?
Main message is to think when you vote, to think about the person's character. Now, I realize a lot of people aren't psychologists, but if you are and you do, your business with people and their behavior and their motivation, uh, we should not be the only ones who look into the character of the people who are running. That's more important than the party they belong to, and that's what's so disturbing to the Democrats about Trump. He's not the usual Republican.
Yeah, 100%. Well, again, the book is called Chairman Biden and Dr. Fauci's Monster. Sorry, thanks so much for joining me here on Global Book Network, Ronald, and best luck with everything and best luck with this book too.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me, and I hope this interview was interesting to your viewers or listeners, and look forward to your future success as a host.
100%. Well, Ronald Weitzman, thank you so much for joining me here on Global Book Network. Again, the book is called Chairman Biden and Dr. Fauci's Monster. You can get it on Amazon and wherever books are sold. You've been watching here on globalbooknetwork.tv and on Global Book Network's YouTube channel. Check out all of our past interviews here on our YouTube channel and on globalbooknetwork.tv. And we'll see you here next time for another author interview.